Welcome back to Discovering Home, the show for moms who long to slow down, come home, and realign their lives with God's purposes for them. I'm your host, Karla Monterrosa, a wife, homeschooling mom of two, and coach for Christian moms who desire more time and flexibility for their home and families. Today I want to talk about something that has been on my heart for quite a while. If you're exhausted, if you miss your children, if you love the Lord and want to trust Him more deeply, if you long to create margin in your day and your mind, but every time you look at the numbers, they just don't seem to add up, this episode is for you. Maybe you've tried bringing this up to your husband. Maybe you've said, I really wish I could stay home with the baby. And maybe his first response wasn't what you wanted to hear. Perhaps it sounded more like, how are we going to make that work? Or, there's just no way we can afford that. I've been where you are. We've walked this out as a family. And what I want to say to you right now at the beginning is this. I'm not telling you money doesn't matter. Of course it matters. We have bills. We have responsibilities. We steward what God has placed in our hands. And we need to do that with wisdom. But money is not the whole story. So today I'm sharing 5 mindset shifts that helped me come home and trust God for nearly a decade now. 5 shifts that carried us through seasons when the numbers didn't perfectly add up and we weren't entirely sure how it would work. If you are sitting in that tension right now, longing to be home, but staring at a budget that feels immovable, I want you to hear this. The transition may not be as impossible as it feels today. Let's walk through these 5 shifts together. Mindset shift number 1. If your husband hesitates, this isn't necessarily opposition. It's protection. It comes from a place of love. He sees the struggle behind the scenes, and often he's carrying his own stresses about how stretched you both feel. Although men are not as quick to voice their emotions. When we were in that season, we were in survival mode for a long time. We were juggling, planning, scheduling, and working together to keep everything afloat. And sometimes when couples are stretched so thin, it can become difficult to really see one another clearly. That resistance you're sensing, it may be coming from a desire to protect your family, and this may feel like a big risk. You've built a life that depends on both your incomes. Maybe you never discussed one day staying home to pour into your children. Maybe like me, in your single years, you imagined that happiness or success would mean being independent, self-sufficient, and building a strong career. And then you had your babies and something shifted. Biology kicked in, your heart changed, and you desperately wanted to be home with them. Your priorities shifted in unexpected ways. You desire to be present, to be the one to nurture them, to comfort them, to be there for all the little moments. Babies, especially between newborn and 3 years of age, are incredibly vulnerable and deeply dependent on their moms. But at any age and stage, a mother plays a unique and irreplaceable role, one shaped by how God made you and how He made your child. So if this wasn't part of the original plan, it may take your husband some time to process it. He understands that stepping into one income means taking on greater financial responsibility. He has likely also built his own ideas of what success looks like. And in a culture that constantly equates success with income advancement and material growth, embracing a slower, simpler vision of happiness can take time to reimagine together. So that hesitation, that pause, that concern, it's very often rooted in love. It's an instinct to protect his family. And when you approach the conversation with that in mind, everything softens. And when things soften between you, something powerful can begin to happen. Mindset shift number 2. When roles shift, motivation and focus also increase. That sense of responsibility can often lead to greater innovation. Every marriage is different, every husband is different, but in many cases, when a man becomes the sole provider, Something activates in him, a focus, a drive. Their desire to protect and provide sharpens. This can surprise even them. It's not about pressure, it's about clarity of purpose. In our case, when we made the decision that I would come home, my husband began looking at his skills, his growth opportunities, and his earning potential very differently. He's in sales, and the nature of that job fluctuates with the economy. During tougher economic times, we've felt the strain like so many families. But when the responsibility shifted, so did the urgency and creativity. Something shifted in him. He understood that our family would now rely primarily on his income, and that clarity brought focus. It awakened a deeper intentionality, a desire to steward his opportunities wisely, and to maximize his earning potential. He began to see his career as a responsibility and a gift to steward faithfully for the good of our whole family. Over the past 10 years, I've seen my husband grow tremendously in his career. He's made thoughtful moves to better utilize his skills and pursued higher levels of opportunities. And he consistently evaluates the return on investment for his time and effort. So it is very likely that this shift will clarify your husband's priorities too, sharpen his focus, and deepen his sense of responsibility and purpose in his work. But be patient if it doesn't happen right away. Mindset shift number 3. This transition will change you too. Living on less doesn't just happen. You learn to do it. You make cuts. You call service providers and ask for lower rates because your income has changed. And you may be surprised how fruitful those conversations can be. You start looking at every expense differently. Needs versus wants become much clearer. With more time at home, you will cook more meals from scratch, and that alone can create significant savings. You get creative with groceries, you compare prices, you adjust how and where you shop. If we're honest, many of the things we once thought we needed were simply comforts we had grown accustomed to. Subscriptions, memberships, small conveniences, you start to look at those with a more discerning eye. And when you gain time and mental space, your creativity also increases. You begin asking better questions like, where can we trim? What actually adds value to my life? What can we simplify? There's a saying, the more you make, the more you spend. And often that's true. When income shifts, perspective shifts too. You and your husband will decide about major shifts together, but you can have a huge impact on your own by making these small shifts that can add up to big savings over time. And if you want a deeper dive into the practical side of how we do this, go back and listen to episode 5, How We Learn to Live on One Income. In that episode, I share the biblical stewardship principles, the smart budgeting adjustments, and the simple strategies that have helped us do more with less. Mindset shift number 4. There's another piece we don't talk about enough, the mental load. When I was working, I was commuting nearly 2 hours each way in traffic. Stepping out for a quick doctor's appointment or school meeting wasn't realistic for me. If I needed time for those responsibilities, my entire workday was disrupted, which only added to the stress I was already carrying at work. My husband, on the other hand, had been working remotely for years, managing a large region of customer accounts. His role offered more flexibility, so he handled drop-offs and pickups from daycare and elementary school in the early years. Every single day, which meant his entire workday revolved around our childcare needs. He always had one eye on the clock. He had limited hours between drop-off and pickup to complete his work. We don't always talk about the silent pressure parents carry throughout the day, the mental juggling, the time calculations, the low-grade stress that never quite turns off. But prolonged stress has consequences for our health, our marriages, and our children. None of us are at our best when we are stretched far too thin, living in survival mode. And let's talk about the children for a moment. When parents are chronically stressed, we are less available, less patient, less emotionally regulated. Our brains have limited bandwidth. We can only process so much before something gives. Many of us find ourselves dragging through dinner, homework, and bedtime routines with barely enough energy left to be fully present. I wish we could do it all perfectly, but that's just not reality. Some areas get our best and others get what's left. And over time, that imbalance affects the entire family. If you're listening to this show, you understand that ache. That's why you're here. Discovering Home gives language to the silent tension you've been carrying. And I'm here as evidence that there is another way. I stepped away from my career in 2017. The circumstances weren't ideal, work wasn't going well, and my family wasn't getting me at my best. We're coming up on 9 years this year since I left my career, and my only regret is not doing it sooner. When I came home, everything shifted. I began doing drop-offs and pickups. I handled all the appointments. I became the steady presence. And something that had been such a stressor for my husband for years became a gift that I genuinely enjoyed. I'll tell you this little story. I went to an after-school event once, and one of my daughter's friends turned to her mom and said, "Who is that lady hugging Alyssa's dad?" And the mom replied with a chuckle, "That's Alyssa's mom." They didn't know me. I wasn't around much. Being present changed everything. My husband has said many times that one of the greatest benefits was no longer living by that mental clock. He knows I have the girls. He knows we're covered. He knows we're together and safe. His workday no longer required that constant calculation of time. And that mental space increased his creativity and productivity in ways we never anticipated. And that's when I realized something no spreadsheet could measure. Here's what I've learned over nearly a decade at home in a nutshell. The budget is only part of the story. There are gains that don't show up on paper, that are immeasurable and so valuable. That brings us to mindset shift number 5. Yes, our finances look differently, but emotionally and relationally, the improvement has been profound. There have been seasons when I've considered going back to my old life, the one where I left the house at 7 in the morning and didn't return until 7 at night. Especially when the economy tightened, when sales were down, when the financial strain felt heavy. From time to time, LinkedIn and Indeed still sent me job postings, positions that years ago would have been like a dream, based on salary alone. But when I sit with it, really sit with it, I realize I can't simply look at the salary line. There's so much to consider. My husband and I have talked about it more than once. I tend to be the more emotional one, and financial stress is something that affects me quickly. It's not about luxury or comfort for me. It's about security and stability, knowing that we're safe. But in those moments, he has been the steady one. His faith is strong. His emotions are very consistent, and he has been my rock. Such a gift. He reminds me how far we've come, how hard we've worked, and that we cannot let fear make our decisions. God will continue to provide. And you know what? He's been right every time. Yes, financial pressure is real. Bills are real. Inflation is real. But so are faith, partnership with your husband, prayer, and wisdom. And every time we've brought that concern before the Lord, the wiser decision has been to stay the course, to hold on, to continue trusting God. I remind myself that this season is not forever, and God always comes through for us. He carries us through. One of the scriptures that has anchored me in this journey is Jesus' gentle reminder in Matthew 6:26. Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? If he cares for the birds, if he clothes the flowers, how much more will he care for you? And trusting God doesn't remove the need for patience. It has been a process for us to get here. Sometimes trust looks less like a dramatic leap and more like small, steady steps taken over time. This kind of transition is rarely instant. It unfolds in phases, and if your husband isn't fully on board yet, give it some time. Alignment in marriage often grows slowly through conversations, prayer, and lived faithfulness. God is faithful. He works in hearts, yours and His, in His timing. Sometimes the answer to our prayers isn't an immediate yes or no. Sometimes it's simply a not yet. So pray, trust God, but also begin taking small steps in faith. You can start making gradual changes now, reducing expenses, simplifying your rhythms, strengthening your stewardship, all of which lower the pressure on your full-time income. Over time, your husband will see your consistency and your commitment to this. And seeds planted in faith, tended with patience and wisdom, often bear fruit in ways we couldn't have predicted. Transitioning from 2 incomes to 1 can be difficult. I won't sugarcoat that. There may be tight months, uncomfortable seasons, but money is not the full story. And that's why I've spent this episode talking about mindset. So much of this journey is about perspective. In more challenging economic seasons, I've continued to weigh the financial discomfort against being present at home. And presence wins every time. I'm not telling you to leap without wisdom. I'm not telling you to quit recklessly. I'm inviting you to prayerfully ask, is the math truly impossible? Or is it simply uncomfortable? There may be seasons of lack. Can I handle that? If you desire to come home, like if you really want to be home with your babies, they are worth every discomfort. Their emotional stability is worth it. The relationship you build with them is worth it. I'm here as evidence that there is another way. If we did it, you can too. Not perfectly, maybe not instantly, but with grace. We learned to live differently. We adjusted our expectations and embraced stewardship. We let go of what looked impressive and leaned into what felt more peaceful and purposeful. And what I discovered was this: home is not a step down. It's holy ground where powerful work is done in the hearts of our children. One day this season will be over, but you will never regret the time you invested in your children. That's why I do what I do, because I've lived this tension, and I know how heavy it can feel at times. If you're a working mom who feels that quiet pull toward a slower, more home-centered life, you don't have to walk it alone. I would be honored to come alongside you, to pray with you, to listen, to help you put words to the desire that maybe no one else understands. I take a limited number of one-on-one coaching clients at a time because I live the message I teach. I protect my margin. I protect my time with my husband and daughters. And when we work together, I help you protect yours too. If you're ready for deeper support, I would love to walk with you. And if you're not ready for coaching yet, I've created a simple first step you can take today. Take my free 1-minute quiz, Is God Calling You Home? It's designed to help you discern whether this may be your season to step away from your career and lean more fully into your calling at home. You can also download my free guide, Start Your Journey Home, a practical and prayerful roadmap to begin planning this transition with faith and clarity. All the links are in the description of this episode. Thank you for being here with me today. If this episode encouraged you, would you leave me a review and share it with a friend who might need this message too? Thank you for spending the time with me. Until next time, God bless you.